Hello, welcome back. I'm very excited to do this video. I was inspired by Sophie Floyd's gift guide for cool girls, and I really wanted to do something similar, but with more of a crafty focus for everyone out there who's a crafter or anyone who has someone in their lives who likes to craft. Specifically, this will be about obviously knitting and crocheting because that's what I do most, but I will also just mention some general creative things. Without further ado, we're just gonna go straight into it. The first thing is for the knitters and crocheters out there, and it is a interchangeable needle sets. I actually got given a interchangeable knitting needle set for Christmas or for my birthday one year, I'm not quite sure, and I have been using this non-stop. I don't think I've worked with or used any other knitting needles since having this, and I believe this is just a very simple set from Amazon, so they don't have to be really expensive to be good and to be used a lot. I just think they're incredibly useful, and you don't ever need to buy any other needles, obviously, other than if you go bigger or larger than what the set entails. I get a lot of questions on this specific needle set or what needles I use, and I always just say you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can spend a lot of money, but you don't have to. And obviously you can do the same for crochet as well, so you can get a set of interchangeable hooks or just a set of hooks. Then what I think is really useful for knitters, crocheters, embroiderers, anyone who has either a lot of projects on the go or likes to take their projects to different places, whether that's outside or just around their house. I'm constantly carrying my whips from downstairs to upstairs, upstairs to downstairs, outside when I'm on the bus, on the train, etc. And what I think is really useful to have for that is specific project bags or project boxes for when you are working indoors. This is actually my scrapbooking box. So I have all my pens, my book, my scissors, my glue stick in here, and when I'm scrapbooking I just take this with me. So if I spend an evening on the sofa watching a movie and I want to do some scrapbooking, everything is in here and I can just take it upstairs. The same goes for when I want to do it at my desk and I take it back downstairs. And then these bags I actually got from my mum. Again, I'm not sure whether it was for my birthday or for Christmas. I keep my whips in there. So these are really handy, especially for when you're out and about, you're on the go, and I'm able to just throw these into my bag with my hooks or my needles in there. I can shut them like that, nothing falls out, and equally they don't take up a lot of space because they can just mold around whichever project I'm using. I will link these bags specifically down below if you want to use them. They are just really cute because they have this like art piece on there and this quote. And then the crates are just from Hay, which I love so much. I have many of these. These are amazing. They are really sturdy. I believe Sisterine Grene also has some, so I'll link them down below as well. Now, the next thing you could give someone is a knitting or crocheting subscription box. And I'm very happy to say that this video is sponsored by Hooks and Needles, who are the go-to choice for anyone who loves knitting and crocheting. These are the subscription boxes, and they come with really easy instructions for beginners. Each box also comes with different like patterns or design options. These boxes come as either knitting, crocheting, or amigurumi options, so there is something for everyone. So like I said, each box comes with easy instructions and various project ideas, and it comes with all of the necessary tools that you might need for those projects. It comes with a hook or needle depending on obviously which craft you're doing, any other type of accessories you might need, some scissors which are absolutely adorable, and of course also the necessary yarn, which all comes from Europe, I believe. Hooks and Needles have also built a really strong online community, so you can actually join their Hooks and Needles Crafters Facebook group to connect with any other creatives out there or get any help on any projects that you might need. Alongside these subscription boxes, you also get free access to any educational content, such as how to read knitting and crocheting patterns, a digital crochet and knit planner, a digital yarn inventory tracker, and also video tutorials for all of the projects. So if you struggle to follow any written patterns, then you have the video tutorials to go alongside them as well. I will leave the subscription link in the description, and you can use code Paula20 for 20% off your first subscription box. I just think these are a really good option for people who've wanted to get into a craft for a really long time. I've had a lot of conversations and DMs recently from people wanting to find out how I got into knitting or crocheting and just kind of struggling to get started. And I think things like this are such a thoughtful gift to encourage people to make a start on it, and it takes away all of that pressure. This just really helps ease that, and I just think a subscription of any kind is such a thoughtful gift that keeps giving for like a longer period of time. Then a gift I think would be really, really thoughtful and personal and has a bit of a DIY aspect to it is to create your own pattern book. So what you could do is purchase multiple different patterns that you know that person's either really wanted or that you think the person would really enjoy making, and then you can print them all out and make them into either like a little flick through folder, or you print them actually into like a little book, and then that way you've given someone something really personal that you've put a lot of thought into, but at the same time you've really helped that person out by them not having to purchase those patterns themselves. And again, it also just kind of not forces but encourages them to make those projects that they've always wanted to make, but maybe they've kind of put off purchasing that pattern. And obviously there are so many knitting and crocheting pattern books already out there that you can purchase ready-made, but I find a lot of the time you don't know what you're gonna get, and maybe half of the patterns that are available in it you don't really end up making. You kind of eliminate that by creating a personal pattern book. I just think that's a really, really sweet idea, and personally I would love that. Then this one is quite obvious, but you could give the person the tools or the necessary things that they use a lot. So for knitting and crocheting, this could be yarn or fabric. For any sewers out there, I personally have to say that being given yarn can be very tricky unless that person knows you really well and knows the kinds of fibers that you like and the colors that you like to work with. It can get a bit awkward because I think people have very personal tastes in the kind of yarn or fabric that they like to work with. So instead, I think a good voucher for their favorite craft store is always a good option. I know vouchers are always seen as a very boring present. However, if it is for like a local craft store, it is incredibly useful. And again, that person probably already spends so much money on yarn, on fabrics and all those kinds of things, and can probably just really do with some financial support on those things. Then the next one is a bit more of a random one, but it is merch or like craft themed clothing items or accessories. Now, I'm speaking from experience, but I think a lot of other crafty and creative people can relate that the crafts or the things that you work on, sometimes you don't really enjoy wearing them out, but you want other people to know what you're into. This is a little bit of a self-plug, but I made a range of graphic tees surrounding knitting and crocheting, and I literally made them because I realized that I don't really like wearing my own creations that much. So yeah, I just wanted to wear something that was still knitting or crocheting related without actually wearing a crochet or knit piece. So obviously I'll leave a link to my shop and those down below, but Etsy also exists, so you can have a little look for any tote bags or any other t-shirts that might be specific to that person's craft. I always see those kinds of things as like wearing your favorite band's t-shirt kind of like communicates to all the other people what you're into. It kind of represents your personality a little bit, and I feel the same about crafty merch. And it doesn't have to be boring, like it can be really fun and just showcase a bit of personality. Then the next idea is a project notebook. I feel like a nice notebook is always welcome. I use this to keep track of any projects that I'm working on, especially when I'm self-drafting. I'm making notes, I'm writing down measurements and rows that I'm making, just so I can keep track of it and ideally keep record so I can recreate a project in the future. Any old notebook will do for this. All you need is a bit of lined paper. I think what would be really nice as well to have it personalized, maybe with the person's name on it, or to personalize it as in like writing project notebook or knitting journal or whatever on the front cover, so it is a bit more dedicated towards that. I believe you can also buy actual project books that have already been created, so they have all of the different categories for people to keep track of it. Personally, as you can see, my note taking is incredibly messy and I kind of just write things down quickly as I'm working on it, so I really like just a blank notebook. But maybe as a more thoughtful gift, one of those ready-made project notebooks would also be really, really handy. Then I think stickers and washi tape always are super welcome by any creative or crafty person, but I think especially when they are themed towards that person's interest. That way they can use those stickers and washi tape anywhere they like, and kind of similar to the merch, just like ingest a little bit more personality and show their interests and stick it on everything that they like, their water bottle, their laptop, their notebooks, their phone case, who knows. Again, Etsy has so many amazing options, especially when you're looking for a niche kind of craft, and you can order a few different sticker sets or specific washi tape. Then Sophie Floyd also mentioned this in her video, but coffee table books are such a good present to give. Obviously I spoke about pattern books already being a thing. But in terms of coffee table books, I'm talking about books that aren't like pattern books. They aren't necessarily like useful. They're more for inspiration to be laid out when people come over to visit, or for you to just like flick through and get inspiration. I especially really like vintage crafty books. I get so much inspiration from them. I have a whole stack of these stitch by stitch books. They come in like different volumes, and they aren't necessarily coffee table books in the sense of they are a little bit smaller, and they do have some instructions and like patterns and stuff in there, but they are just so beautiful to look at and to just get inspiration in general for projects, even though you wouldn't necessarily like follow them step by step. But the same can go for general fashion books, or I've been eyeing up these I forgot what the person is called, but these books, I really want to try and find a library where I can have a look at them before ordering one. But just like craft specific coffee table books that encourage you to have a flick through, get inspired, and have them like laying around decorating your home. Equally, I love a magazine, and I love to be gifted a magazine. I often treat a good magazine like I do a book, but it gives me more freedom to cut out things out of a magazine than I would out of a book. I recently bought this one for £10. So magazines can be cheap, but sometimes they are a bit more expensive, so I do really treat them like a coffee table book as well. Obviously, magazines come for any types of interests. They are craft specific magazines for any type of craft out there. Again, you can make it on a subscription basis and have that person receive a magazine every month or bi-monthly, or however the magazine subscription works. I love a good magazine to have a little flick through, get inspired. I often end up cutting out specific images and like framing them, using them as art around my home. I would like to think that most creative people, crafty people out there love a good scrapbooking session as well. Any type of magazine is great for that. Again, you can go down the vintage route. You can buy them a magazine from the year that they were born, or a specific decade that they're interested in, or a magazine that features a specific designer or a certain type of craft that they're really interested in. I just think it's a very underrated gift idea, and whilst like coffee table books can be very expensive, magazines tend to be a lot cheaper, but they still hold so much inspiration and creativity. And yeah, I just think more people need to be given each other magazines and enjoy things in print. And that wraps up all of my gift ideas for crafty people. I really hope that gave some inspiration and you liked some of them. Make sure to check out Hooks and Needles in the description and use my code Paula20 for 20% off your first subscription box. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.